Hello, this is Good Morning Transfers, and it is a big summer for West Ham United, and these are the reasons why. Point one, lower the average age. Now, West Ham had an average age of 28 years and 10 days in their Premier League side, starting 11 last year. That's the fourth oldest in the league. They will want to get that down over this summer transfer window. Next point, get the best out of Pablo Fornals. I spoke to someone who scouts La Liga intensively for Premier League sides last month, and they were staggered that one of the top six didn't move for Fornals. He impressed in the Under-21 European Championships, which were live on Sky, and he will be the perfect foil for their main striker, which brings us nicely onto point three. Who will that main striker be? Because they need to sort out the situation with Marko Arnautovic. We know that he wants out. Another player that will probably be leaving is Javier Hernandez. And West Ham, we know they want to buy Maxi Gomez. And could they go back in for Salomon Rondon from West Bromwich Albion? It's certainly going to be a topsy-turvy window. It's always exciting, the transfer window for West Ham fans. What do we think?
Yeah, it is exciting, but we've purposely missed the big story from West Ham out there, because we're going to talk about it now with the transfer team. And West Ham fans, we really want to hear your views on this, all right? So while we're chatting about it, hashtag transfer talk, we'll read some of your opinions out on what's happening with Marko Arnautovic. But Michael, just bring us up to date with exactly what is going on.
Yes, so it was North London for me yesterday, Tom, and I'm going to East London today. Marko Arnautovic's brother and agent has accused West Ham of treating his player like a farmyard animal. Arnautovic has asked to leave for the second time in 6 months in a bid to force through a move to an unnamed Chinese club. Now, West Ham have rejected a bid of just under £20 million. Speaking exclusively to Sky Sports News, Arnautovic's brother and agent Daniel says he's not a cow or a horse which you can bring to market. Brothers potentially dominating true transfer sagas, isn't it? We've seen this with Wilf Sahar earlier this week, but my understanding is in January Arnautovic received a 15 to 20,000 a week basic increase, and remember that's after deciding to stay in January. Now he's due back next Monday, I'm told, after representing Austria this summer. His brother, who's also his agent, made the statement. Remember, that was when he played for Stoke. That happened too, and that's probably why he received that hostile reception when he went back to Stoke as a West Ham player. Now, West Ham fans, you're tweeting me, and keep your tweets coming in, hashtag transfer talk, because I know you're really not happy with this situation, because you've had a great summer so far, being so impressed with Pablo Fornals, the signing. So, guys, I want to talk to you all about West Ham United and the Marko Arnautovic situation. It's not good, but we're seeing a different approach in terms of brothers getting involved.
Yeah. Yeah, we saw it with Wilfried Zaha, you said. And but the difference is here that Marko Arnautovic's brother is his agent. Yeah. And that's the difference as opposed to the Wilfried Zaha situation where it's just a family situation that he's commenting on. This is a really odd one for me, because obviously the big thing is that Arnautovic got a new contract in January, and that coincided after that with a complete loss of form. Didn't score for 2.5 months. And then all of a sudden, towards the end of the season, scored 7 and 9 in all competitions for club and country, and he looks like a different player again. Which Marko Arnautovic do we, would a club be buying? Would they be buying this sort of inspirational, talismanic goal scorer, or would they be buying someone that is streaky and doesn't give the production that necessarily justifies £30 million? It's a difficult one.
I just think West Ham fans, the club itself, I think probably the players as well, that's going into pre-season now. I think everybody collectively as a whole probably wants the soap opera over.
Yes.
I think it needs to be put to bed.
Yes.
Whether you want to stay or you want to be a part of the team, or do you want to leave? Because these sort of discussions can't be happening at the beginning of every window.
Yes.
It just can't consistently be happening. You're a Premier League team that's meant to be putting together, meant to be a unit, and every single time the window opens, one of your key players is indicating that he wants to leave.
Mark, this is the thing. We're getting all these tweets in, and they're all against Marko Arnautovic. I'm going to read some out in a moment, but Mark, while I'm reading them out, you have a little think, because we're going to need someone who tries to defend Marko Arnautovic, because it's very one-sided at the moment from the West Ham fans. We've got Steve Alexander. 2 players we need to push for Zapata and João Mario to push us forward. This is to keep it. No time for Arnautovic tantrums. Pablo Fornals can help Anderson supply a decent striker. There's another one here from Connor Brown. I think Arnautovic's behaviour is a disgrace and needs to get sold for the sake of the transfer club and for the sake of the club. Mark Thompson, Arnautovic's agent, out of order. Has he ever seen a farmyard animal sign a contract? There is a contract. Just because a player wants to leave doesn't mean the club have to give him away. Is there any argument here for Arnautovic, Mark?
I think his record is a good record. I think that's something to point out. He has been superb in games for West Ham. In club and country appearances last season, he scored 16 goals in 39 appearances. That's a good return for a striker. And the thing that's probably frustrating West Ham fans the most is that this player has so much ability. He has had so much talent there in his locker. And he's been supported by the club and backed by the club. But you know, it just feels like there's something not quite right there.
I'll give you a defence for Marko Arnautovic. Yeah, 10 goals, 4 assists last season. He's, and in 24 starts, he's contributing to a goal pretty more than every other game for a mid-table club. That's a good record. He's been with the club the season before when they struggled and still impressed. In his mind, and remember, he's a supremely sort of confident man. He sees himself as sort of being one of West Ham's players, and that he's done all he can at the club. That's where he is, sort of mentality-wise at the moment. Now, I'm not saying whether that's right or wrong. But I'm just saying, if you're after a defence from Marko Arnautovic, that's it. From the player's point of view, he's contributing on the pitch, and and if he wants to move, he wants to move.
Let me try and make this comparable for us. Imagine we've come into this situation where we're working hard every day, and then you come in on the
like where this is going.
On the first day, and turn around and say, I don't want to be here anymore. And if you don't move me again, then as far as I'm concerned, I'm not working with everybody.
Right, but
there's no defence for it.
But the difference is, he's got an offer saying, you could come and work for us for a lot more money. That's the thing. If somebody says, right, you can come and work for me for a lot more money, I'm going to think about that offer.
That is understandable, but at the same time, you need to make that very clear and have some sort of communication with the club, because there's no way that 6 months later we can have this same discussion. A contract is meant to be an understanding between the player and the club to say, you know what, I'm committed to this club right now. Not committed for the next 6 months till the window opens, or what was the point in signing the contract?
No, I mean, that is the one thing that is always going to be against Marko Arnautovic here. What's changed since January? What's changed since January?
I like the brothers coming out. So I think now's a good time, guys, to let you know that my brother is going to fill in for me tomorrow.
Tell you what, just because West Ham fans aren't very happy about this situation, let's give them some good news, because someone here earlier on was saying that, a bit about Pablo Fornals, saying that he's... Was that thumbs up?
Well, you said someone.
Oh, was it you? Right. I thought it was to the producer. I was like, Bridget, the camera's on you.
No, he's had a fantastic...
Tell us about Pablo Fornals then, because
he's had a fantastic European under-21 tournament. He's hugely impressed, and Spain have won that tournament. He just... A bit like Dimitri Payet, getting that excitement there, isn't there, with West Ham United. Like a Di Canio, they love... As much as they love their academy, bringing those players through...
I could talk about that academy all day.
As much as they love bringing those players through, what West Ham don't want... We've already got a soap in East London. They don't want another one, do they? They want to get it sorted, and they want to get this saga with Marko Arnautovic over as quickly.
I just think they need to focus on what the positives have been. It's to do up Ryan Fredericks, Declan Rice. There's been a lot of good things. Good things that's happened at the club last season.
Yarmolenko when he's back from injury as well. I tell you what, we'll just end this chat before we move on to Brahimi, an Arsenal target, with some more tweets from the West Ham fans. They say, what Curtis Stevens just says, no one is bigger than the club. Matt Smith says, why would West Ham give a pay rise and turn down £35 million offer in January if we're trying to get rid of him? Absolute rubbish from Arnie's treacherous, money-grabbing brother. That's a bit harsh, Matt. That is his views, not our views. And Jack, who's got hammer emojis next to his name, Marko needs to go, handing a transfer request is in once, and then signing the contract with us fans forgiving him near the end of the season. But to do this again is disgraceful. It will just cause what Payet did within the dressing room. He's going to be toxic. So very much West Ham fans showing that they're not particularly happy. OK, but let's talk about a potential signing at Arsenal, JD. Tell us more about Brahimi.
Well, as we know, Brahimi is actually doing really well right now in the African Cup of Nations. He's been away. He's been a player that's run out of contract with Porto at the back end of last year. And there's a lot of interest. We reported here as well at the back end of last year that West Ham United were interested in, but personal terms and transfer fees couldn't really be agreed at that moment in time. But obviously, being a free agent in this current market, especially coming to the Premier League, you can imagine that he's probably weighing up his options.
He can take his time.
And trying to get as big a wage packet as possible. And we understand, as we've reported as well, that it's the wages that is causing the disconnects right now for why this deal probably hasn't advanced as quickly as we've wanted it to. But there's no doubt on his talent. Anyone that's covered the African Cup of Nations and seen his output last year for Porto has been impressed by his ability.
Porto as well. Last season, he managed to add goals. That was the key thing. First time he scored more than 10 goals in a season. He completes more dribbles per game than anyone else in the Portuguese league.
We've got
some
stats actually. So to talk us through this, if we put these stats up, you can talk about them actually because this is just how good he has been for them.
That's in all competitions as well. But 10 of those goals came in the league. Assists, he's never had a problem. He is such a direct player. And that's the thing, he brings pace and urgency to that Arsenal team. Something necessarily they don't, they've got a lot of technical ability, but he will bring something else. But again, Arsenal have got players like Reece Nelson coming back as well. There was a lot of competition, but do they sign him and Wilfried Zaha? They're exceptionally similar players. They're both direct threats that aren't particularly good at tracking back. Or this is the thing, is this an either-or situation, or do they get them both and completely change the way they play? Those two, plus Aubameyang and even Lacazette, that is a lot going forward, and that is a lot of pace. But I fear for the Newcastle backline, for the Arsenal backline, that's been under pressure a lot anyway.
They do face Newcastle in the opening day, so you would fear for them as well.
It's a good question mentioning Zaha, because I understand it stands miles away. And as we reiterated yesterday, Crystal Palace don't want to sell, don't need to sell, and if it is in instalments, Crystal Palace are not interested in that.
I just want to say, though, it's so good to see that Emery is getting an opportunity to really target the transfer things that he wants. And you can see that he's probably having his input now, and he's turned around and saying, these are the targets that I've laid out. You as a club have to turn around and support me. And it's good to see because we talked about the post-Wenger era and how the next manager was going to come in. Arsenal fans were maybe quite patient with Emery last year, but you're seeing now that he's getting the chance to implement his decisions on the team.
What excited me a little bit with Arsenal was Kieran Tierney, because it's a bit of an Andy Robertson thing. They look at him, how well did he do in Scotland, came down here, absolutely fantastic for Liverpool, the money being banded around, and you think Tierney around £25 million, for me, is pretty good value.
I think the difference with Kieran Tierney is he's young and can develop in the Premier League.
Yes.
Raheem, he turns 30 in this season, and for a winger, give him a 3 or 4 year contract, that's quite an investment, even if they're not paying a transfer
And Arsenal
fee.
fans need some reinforcements at the back. That's
they do.
All right. Well, I tell you what, a mega star here we're going to talk about, because on the way, Neymar is in our transfer spotlight. And keep getting in touch. #TransferTalk.
And today's transfer spotlight is none other than Neymar. We understand the Brazilian star Neymar wants to leave PSG in a shock return to Barcelona. Neymar left Barcelona for the French champions Paris Saint-Germain in the summer of 2017 for a world record fee of 200 million. But fast forward 2 years and it seems the power of the player in football is as strong as ever. Life is funny because you possess as much global presence as Neymar, and it seems you can do complete and utter U-turns like returning to your former club, especially with the understanding that Barcelona is one of the few clubs in the world that can actually afford him. But there are so many complications involved in this deal. Barcelona would have to consider the financial fair play, especially if they're talking about the potential arrival of Antoine Griezmann, the question of the astronomical wages that Neymar's on, and whether or not the fans actually want him back. But Neymar is still only 27 and arguably one of the biggest stars in world of football. And it would seem like a win for any club, right? But you let us know on the socials, should Neymar return? But before you do that, consider the prospects of the trio, Neymar, Messi and Griezmann. Wow. Get in touch and make sure you do it via the #TransferTalk.
There we go. This is what's happening elsewhere today here on Sky Sports News. One line to bring you, which has reached us this morning, is that Phil Jagielka is training with Burnley. He was released by Everton this summer. However, we understand he's only training with Sean Dyche's side to keep his fitness up. Let's talk about our top transfer story. Sky sources understand that Manchester City are prepared to match Manchester United's offer of £70 million for the England international. Leicester have already turned down United's bid for Maguire, and it's our understanding only a world record deal for a defender could tempt Leicester into selling him. As Leicester fight to keep Maguire, they're hopeful of signing striker Jose Perez from Newcastle for a fee of around £30 million. Now, he is still to have a medical with Leicester and agree personal terms, but we understand he is keen on the move. And Leeds just keep on signing wingers, don't they? First they got Jack Harrison back in, then they got Jack Clark back on loan, and now Sky sources understand they are in advanced talks to sign Wolves winger Helder Costa. And finally, just a shout out to the Transfer Talk podcast. It's available to download now. Plenty more discussion and opinion. Plus, we're joined by a Belgian football expert to give us the lowdown on Aston Villa's new striker. Take a look.
Right, we've been discussing the Premier League. We've also been in the EFL. Now it's turned our attention to Scotland over the last couple of days. We've covered Celtic, we've covered Rangers. But Michael Bridger, another two clubs that you're going to talk about today in the same city.
Thank you, Tom. Yes, I'll be covering the Scottish Premiership throughout July, and it's exciting times if you're a Hibernian fan. Yesterday, American businessman Ronald Gordon bought a majority stake at the club. Head coach Paul Higginbottom will be interested to hear how much he'll have to spend on that 7-figure sum. They've already signed 5 already, Scott Allen being the important one, and Christian Doidge, my sources in Edinburgh, telling me looking good. Goalkeeper Chris Maxwell joining as well from Preston on a loan deal. So competition for Ophir Marciano, assuming he's staying. Right, let's go to Hearts. And Craig Levine says there are only 1 or 2 things to sort out before maybe Stephen Naismith will complete his deal. He's waiting for his contract from Norwich to run out. But this is a good sign. I like this. Connor Washington, exciting signing after leaving Sheffield United to strengthen the areas he needs updating and the forward line. I'm told that they might strengthen in central midfield depending on players coming back to training, and Craig Levine might have a little shake-up there, but very, very happy Hearts, but very, very, very happy Hibs fans with that takeover.
There may be some very happy Celtic fans. We've got some transfer news from Celtic as well just into us. Now, Rapid Vienna, they've confirmed that their full-back, who's called Bolingoli Mbombo, has been granted permission to leave the club. Now, this is what they've tweeted today. They say his name is no longer in Bad Zell, which is their training camp, by the way. Our number 5 received permission to leave the training camp yesterday. If there is more news about him, we will get back to you. Now, why does that concern Celtic? I'll tell you why. It's been reported that he's closing on a £3 million move to Celtic. Neil Lennon's looking for his 3rd signing. Now, Lennon said this yesterday, we're not too far away, and he'll be another good addition to the squad. He gives us competition at left-back. He's strong, athletic, and good on the ball. So he's a left-back, he's at Rapid Vienna, and he's Bolingoli Mbombo. Don't get that on the back of your shirt. It will cost you a fortune.
That'll lead to Kieran Tierney questions, won't it?
I think I got it right.
That'll lead to Kieran Tierney questions, won't it?
Well, exactly. He's a left-back.
That's the obvious one.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll keep our eye out for that one. That might bring Kieran Tierney back into the conversation. We've got some tweets here about Harry Maguire, so I'm just going to read these out and open it up back to the panel because it's been our top story today, OK? There's one from Stuart here saying that Manchester United need to get Maguire at any cost. If they don't get him, then Alderweireld should be the man. As for midfield, Bruno Fernandes, Tielemans or Ruben Neves would do. So, Stuart, not asking a lot there from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. There's Jack says, I don't think Manchester United will get Harry Maguire. However, I'd settle for Diop at West Ham because he could develop into a fantastic centre-half. There's one here from Nath. Do Manchester United need Harry Maguire? I would go for a striker first. Jonathan, £70 million for Harry Maguire, not enough. If they come back, either City or United, with £80 million, we should sell, give all the money to Brendan Rodgers, and then we could do have cover in defence. Perez, excellent signing, great competition for an ageing Vardy. Well, he might be ageing, but he's certainly not slowing down, is he? And there's another fan here as well saying, as a Brighton fan, I feel like we need Maguire to fit to Manchester United for £70 million or more so that Leicester can buy Dunk to replace him for £30 million. But I must admit, that one doesn't make very much sense. I think that might have been copied and pasted wrong, OK? I'm sure that fan there, who was actually nameless, has done it right. I think we've just done it wrong. But anyway, a Brighton fan there talking about maybe Lewis Dunk being a replacement for Harry Maguire. OK, so what do we think? We've talked about the cost here, but then this brings in Toby Alderweireld, Michael, because Manchester United fans, a lot of them have been saying Toby Alderweireld, they prefer him.
Well, they'd prefer him as well because you can get him for £25 million. It's my understanding, though, that Alderweireld's family want to stay in London, so how that would work out, I don't know. And he's still very happy at Tottenham, but obviously there is that contract situation, Tom, with the year left he's got now and the £25 million release clause, which Spurs were aware of when they signed him from Southampton. Look, Toby Alderweireld, with the partnership with Vertonghen, has been extremely successful. And looking at it, Spurs are looking at strengthening other areas. They don't really want to be replacing Toby Alderweireld at the moment. But look, if Manchester United don't get Maguire, I know who I'd be looking for.
Yeah.